What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Beyond the Bench podcast. We are back for our second season of fantasy. I'm still here with Nick.
Welcome back, everybody. It's good to be back.
We are excited to be doing this. This is going to be a great season. I'm more confident than ever after missing the playoffs for the first time ever last year.
He is determined.
And, we got to talk about you. 13-1, 13-0.
No, we don't bring that up. I went 13-1. I had the actual Avengers. As my fantasy team. And just saying, I followed my own advice. So if you guys were listening and you followed my advice,
you would have got first rounded.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I lost in the first round after my bye. But we don't talk about that. We finished the season number one. In some leagues, You do get money for that. So, just
that is true. Some leagues, not our leagues, but some.
Not our league, but some leagues.
I think this season is going to be a crazy fantasy season.
So do I.
So, what I've been noticing, we're going to do quarterbacks today, but I just want to say, what I've noticed, while I've been researching and stuff, there's not a lot of good running backs this year. It's going to be a very wide receiver heavy season.
That's why in your drafts, I will say this right now, when we do the running back video, I'll go more into this. However, running backs, I think you should have one of your round one or round two selections should be a high quality running back.
I completely agree, and once again, we'll talk about this more in the running back video, but in the mock drafts that I've been doing, there's a lot of times where I'll take a running back in both of the first two rounds.
There's a ton of wide receiver depth this year, and not a lot of running back depth this year.
Yeah.
So, but we'll get into that in
the next video. Today we're talking about quarterbacks.
Yep.
There's some good ones this year. There's not a lot of rookie quarterbacks.
I will say I like my sleeper picks, and I like my bottom barrel, because you guys know my strategy. I'm not the type of guy that's going, picking Josh Allen in the second or third round. I'm a guy that likes to wait, get my other team built, and then get a sleeper, and then build off of that.
I agree. I've never been that kind of guy either. But in my mock drafts, I've been doing it a lot. I've been ended up with Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. It's been kind of just happening that way. I've been kind of mocking in the 7th or 8th pick, because we're usually where I pick, and that's how it's been ending up.
Yeah.
But without further ado, let's get into our first rankings of the season.
Let's start
with
it.
Our
yes,
quarterbacks.
Sir. I'm excited. Let's do it.
So I would have to assume that we have the same number one quarterback.
Yep.
He's the best quarterback in the NFL, I think.
He is the best quarterback in the NFL.
So you have Lamar Jackson?
Oh, what?
Okay.
I have Josh Allen.
I thought this might happen.
Oh, we're on pick number one.
Okay, so
all right,
let's debate this. You want to start? I have Josh Allen at 2.
All right,
I have Josh Allen at 2.
Here's my thinking. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Bills. I think that whatever Josh Allen can do with his legs, I think it doesn't equal Lamar Jackson's running ability. However, if you noticed last year, Lamar Jackson didn't do as much with his legs because he had Derrick Henry. Now, he did do a lot with his legs. However, since Derrick Henry's there,
900 yards, I believe.
I understand.
Which is a lot.
I understand that. But how many touchdowns did he have?
4. That's the main difference between the two.
Exactly.
I think Josh Allen had 9 to 10. That's what I'm saying.
That's exactly my point. If on the line, let's say the Bills and the Ravens are at the 1 yard line. The Bills are putting Josh Allen in to get that 1 yard rush. The Ravens are putting Derrick Henry to get that 1 yard rush every single time. So I think that in sheer touchdown, rushing touchdown ability, I think Josh Allen, edges Lamar Jackson just enough for him to be the number one quarterback, and I think that Josh Allen has just an overall higher throwing quality, than Lamar Jackson.
I don't disagree, but Lamar Jackson, I think, should have won MVP last year. He had 5,000 all-purpose yards.
I agree.
He had over 40 touchdowns and 4 interceptions.
I agree with that.
I feel like turnovers are a big thing with Josh Allen.
Turnovers are a big thing, but he does compensate it with those rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, but once again, you're lucky if you have either of these two players.
Yes, you're not going wrong with either, so that's not.
But one thing that I've noticed with the Ravens, and I'll say this in the running back video about Derrick Henry. The Ravens' offense is very hard for a defense to read because they have three major weapons that they could use at any time they want. Lamar could run, Derrick Henry can run, Lamar could throw. That's really hard for a defense to cover all three at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But my whole Lamar thing, it goes back to the turnovers. Like I think that's their biggest difference. Lamar gets the more yards rushing, Allen gets more touchdowns. I feel like it evens out eventually. Those turnovers, you're losing 2 points for every one of those turnovers.
Right. No, you are.
And that could be a game changer.
That could be a game changer, but in this overall, if we're talking not in a specific game, I don't think it is a very, 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 very rare. It is a very rare instance where an interception will lose you a fantasy football game. I'll just say that.
It's happened to me. I know it's happened to you.
It's happened to everybody. However, I don't think that's a basis to not draft somebody.
Oh, I mean, between the two, you take whoever you want in this situation. Like, it's one of those. One thing I will note for Josh Allen that I found out today during my research, every year since 2020, Josh Allen has finished as either the number 1 or the number 2 quarterback
So
in fantasy.
Either way, it's not not a bad pick either.
So was Lamar your number 2?
Lamar was my number 2. Actually, no, Lamar was my number 3. Sorry.
Who do you have at number 2?
Okay, this is going to be a hot take. This is going to be a hard take.
All right, let's
I don't believe in the sophomore slump. I have Jaden Daniels at number 2.
Okay, that's fair. I'll give you that. That's fair.
I have Jaden Daniels at number 2 only because with the offseason addition of Debo, I think that now having 2, assuming McLaurin doesn't get traded.
That's my biggest issue with Jaden Daniels. You don't know what Terry McLaurin's going to do until we find out.
I don't want to speak here and then get rebutted against if this does happen. I don't think he's going to get traded only because he's had such a diverse quarterback room. He finally has a quarterback that he knows will get him the ball, is good, and is consistent. I don't know if he wants to leave that situation just because there's another wide receiver in the wide receiver room that's just as good as him. And if he does, I think that's foolish.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have Jaden Daniels at number 4 for me.
Okay.
And the thing with the sophomore slump,
I think the top 4 can really be.
Okay, let's just get. Do you have Jalen Hurts at 4?
No, I have Jalen Hurts at 5.
Who do you have at 4?
Joe Burrow.
Okay, so we have the same top 5. It's just in a different order.
It's just in a different order.
But
you have Jalen Hurts above Joe Burrow.
I do, and I'll get to that. I'll get to that in a minute after I talk about Jaden Daniels. I think sophomore slumps are a real thing. Like, I know you did not have C.J. Stroud in his second year like I did. That was painful, and it's just a matter of after your first season, especially a quarterback like Jaden Daniels, who is the dual threat. He can run, he can throw. Defenses learn to read that guy, and the defenses adjust quicker than the player will adjust to those defenses. So Jaden Daniels is now going to have to adjust his game again because defenses are learning to read him.
That is true. But I'll point out, at least in my opinion, Jaden Daniels is a much, deeper dual threat than C.J. Stroud is.
I agree.
So just because he's that, not that they're the same caliber player, but I would put Lamar and Jaden Daniels in the same caliber.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dual threat.
I agree.
Okay, so defenses, Lamar is in his top numbers. How long is he going to be? This is what
Lamar's
season?
probably. That's a good question.
7 or
I
8?
think this is his 6th or 7th year, 7th or 8th maybe.
So
he's been in the league for a while.
Defenses still can't read him. I think that just because he's a dual threat, I think the sophomore slump will be minimized. But I think there still will be a regression, but not a big enough regression where it won't. It not a big enough regression where it'll be detrimental to your team.
Right, and you can't. They have Laramie Tunsil now on the offensive line, so you boost that up. And I say this is on my notes here. Dual threat quarterbacks are the best quarterbacks to have in fantasy because you're
100%.
getting rushing touchdowns, passing yards, rushing yards.
I feel like that is a very commonly known fact that people just skip over all the time.
Yeah, I agree. Now, you want to talk about Joe Burrow really quick?
So my case with Joe Burrow, I know the O line sucks, but the fact that they gave Jamar and T Higgins extensions,
Mhm.
I think that puts Joe Burrow in a more confident position that he knows that he has two excellent wide receivers to throw to. And I don't remember if you remember the press conference where they both got signed at the same time. They had the dual press
Yeah.
conference. The reporter asked him, Jamar Chase, if he feels good about being a number one wide receiver. Jamar Chase responded to him saying, "No, we're both number one wide receivers."
Mm-hmm.
So I think that response in itself, I don't want to look too deeply into it because maybe he was just defending his teammate. But
Right.
if that's true, then I think Joe Burrow is going to spread the ball out more, which means better, yards, more touchdowns because defenses are now going to have to pull two cornerbacks, two safeties, whatever, to to cover these guys, and I think
Right.
that's just going to lead to an overall better performance.
I agree. And people also, I feel like, are looking over the fact how good of a season Joe Burrow had last year because the Bengals aren't that
Amazing.
good. So people weren't really paying attention. He had almost 5,000 yards, 43 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. That's
That is
in a
an
year
MVP
without.
caliber season.
I completely agree. And, it's overlooked because of what Lamar and
And
Josh Allen
Josh
did.
Allen did exactly. Yeah.
Because Joe Burrow doesn't run, which I feel like is one of my downsides to him as a fantasy quarterback. He does not run. And now with Chase Brown, they have a solid running back where they won't even need him to run.
I will say this though, the Bengals do have a lot of play designs built off of that, where they'll give him a rushing touchdown just randomly because they have Chase Brown on the line and they'll send him the other way. Which not a lot of teams design quarterback runs like that.
Right. But
he still doesn't have the rushing upside as Josh Allen or Jay
no,
Daniels or Lamar, but you'll get he has a heightened throwing ability.
Yeah, and
so that's
in every healthy season he's played in the NFL, he's been top 10 in fantasy.
Again, top 5 picks. I don't think you're going wrong. And
you can't. You also, you can't look over the fact they are probably the number one passing offense in the NFL when it comes to the percentage of passing plays and rushing plays they use. Because they have one of the best quarterbacks in the league, the best wide receiver in the league, probably the best wide receiver too in the league, if we're being honest. It's insane. It's understandable how they're so bad because of their defense and their O line, but yeah. Now, from talking about bad O lines, bad defense, I want to talk about Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
Best O line, best defense.
Best defense. So opposite situation.
So
you have him at 4.
I have it 3.
You have it at 3. Okay.
Yes, and it's because of.
Wait. So hold on. Read your top 5.
Yeah, my top 5 from 1 to 5 is Lamar, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels, Joe Burrow.
Okay.
So with Jalen Hurts, he gets so many rushing touchdowns because of the tush push. That's a lot of fantasy points. He gets more rushing touchdowns than any other quarterback. He gets more rushing touchdowns than most of the running backs.
The running backs, yeah.
Since his first full season in the NFL, he's averaged 20 plus fantasy points per game per season. He's very consistent, and as long as he doesn't get hurt, he has the weapons to stay consistent. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley if he doesn't get hurt. Although I'm going to go out here and say
I'm not drafting Saquon.
I'm not drafting Saquon either.
I'm not
we'll
drafting
talk about that
Saquon
in the running back video, but I'm not drafting Saquon this year. And it's not it may be a little bit of my Giants fan bias, but it's not entirely Giants fan bias. Yeah. But the one downside to Jalen Hurts is also his upside. He depends on the tush push. So if they end up not using the tush push as much this year, Jalen Hurts is going to decrease in fantasy value because he's not going to get I think he had 14 rushing touchdowns this year.
I think 13 or 14, I believe. It was more than it was definitely more than 10.
14.
14.
So if that, as soon as they stop using the tush push, which I don't think they will, Jalen Hurts' value decreases, and he's still a top 5 quarterback without the tush push, but it definitely decreases his value because of his touchdown dependence.
I agree. My reasoning why I put Jalen Hurts at the bottom of the barrel for my top
Mm-hmm.
five, is because I don't know why I feel like it's a gut feeling. I feel like the Eagles' offense is due for a regression.
I mean, when you have a season like they did last year,
Right,
you're
but not
almost
not really
guaranteed
because
a
of that.
regression.
Because teams now had the entire offseason to prepare for the tush push. They had the
They've had
entire
3 years to prepare for the tush push.
but
It
this
has
year
not been able to be
but
stopped.
this year was different because they tried to get it banned. The fact that they tried to
That
get
is
it
true.
banned and it didn't work, that's a wake up call for a lot of teams that don't have a very good defensive line that can stop the tush push.
And I also feel like teams thought that they were going to rely less on the tush push
Yeah,
once they signed Saquon.
Saquon
Because,
and now
you
and
don't need to do
now
the tush push anymore,
right
and they still did it.
right. So
And then look at the season Saquon had. It didn't
right
matter.
right it didn't matter anyway. But I do think the Eagles' offense is due for regression, um, and I feel like the throwing ability that Jalen Hurts has, I don't think is good enough to make him any higher above Joe Burrow, Lamar, Jaden Daniels, or Josh Allen. I don't. His rushing upside is definitely a top 3 rushing upside in the league, but
Yeah,
throwing
absolutely.
wise, it doesn't strike too much confidence. Not that he's a bad thrower; he's an amazing quarterback. But some of the
You have to
decisions
think.
that
Mm-hmm. No, go on.
some of the decisions that he makes is a little bit questionable. When he doesn't have either AJ Brown or Devontae Smith open, he doesn't know what to do with the ball.
That's what I was going to say, yeah. If he didn't have either, if, like, God forbid those guys get hurt this season,
Then
it's over for him.
he can't improvise.
No.
Cannot improvise. Um,
Maybe we
after
have the same
that,
number 6.
I have Bo Nix at number 6.
I have Patrick Mahomes.
Yo, our
I have,
lists are completely different.
who do you have at 7?
Justin Herbert.
Oh, you won't even have Mahomes there. Okay, I have Knicks
I
at
have
7.
Mahomes at 8.
Wow. Okay. Let's talk about Bo Nix really quick.
All right.
I have him at 7. You have him
Okay.
at 6.
I have him at 6.
I love Bo Nix. Bo Nix is one of my
I
favorite
love him
quarterbacks in
too.
the NFL. They have one of the best O-lines in the NFL. I believe Pro Football Focus has them at the 2nd behind the Eagles, which the Eagles, there's no stopping the Eagles, so I leave them. You could basically say the Broncos are 1B to the Eagles 1A. The Broncos have a phenomenal offensive line. They added a new tight end. They got Evan Ingram this year.
Yep.
It's another weapon for Bo Nix. Him and Cortland Sutton now. They don't have to solely rely on Cortland Sutton.
I'll say right now, that was mainly my reasoning
Mm-hmm.
with putting him at 6 because he has more weapons. Offensive line got better. He's just going to have so much time, or hopefully, so much time to throw in that pocket that Cortland Sutton is an insane playmaker. Bo Nix is going to put the ball in that kid's hands, or that guy's hands.
Yeah,
but,
I
and
completely
especially
agree.
we all know Evan Ingram, how good he was on Jacksonville.
Evan Ingram can,
he
when
he
he
is
has
he
the
is a
right.
route runner.
Yes, he is, and he's probably one of the best in the
One
league,
of the
in my
better,
opinion,
yeah,
for tight
yeah.
ends.
For
Yeah.
tight ends, yeah, 100%.
I have a couple things about Bo Nix that's on the other side. If they got 2 new running backs, which will definitely take away from Bo Nix's rushing attempts, because he rushed a lot last year. Javonte Williams is not the best running back. Now they have R.J. Harvey and J.K. Dobbins, who J.K. Dobbins had a great year last year.
Mm-hmm.
I do think R.J. Harvey's going to be the number 1. But yeah, and the weak wide receiving core. I mean, it's still just Cortland Sutton and now Evan Ingram. Like, it's not anywhere near the best in the league. And
my argument is always the O line. I think if a team has a good O line,
yeah, I
quarterback's going to be
completely
good.
agree. And then you
That
always have
is,
to, as we were talking about with Jaden Daniels, you always have to think about the sophomore slump.
yeah.
It's always a possibility.
My only thing, is I don't know, maybe Justin Herbert, but I would not put any of the quarterbacks below him above him. Maybe Justin Herbert, but I would not put any moving on to Mahomes. If you look at Mahomes' stats, honestly, he's never been that good of a fantasy quarterback.
But he's never been bad.
He's
Like,
never
that's the
been
thing.
bad, but he's always been like middle of the barrel fantasy quarterback. And I don't
But
like
that's the thing. He's been a middle of the road quarterback from the position that he gets drafted in. I think this year he's not going to go until the 5th or 6th round, which is when most
I
quarterbacks are going to go.
disagree. I disagree.
Really?
I think it's name value. I 100% think it's name
Well,
value.
obviously it's different in every league. In our league, I completely agree that is almost definitely going to happen.
Yeah.
But I think in most leagues where people do their research like we do, where everybody in the league does that research, he's going to drop to the 4th, 5th, 6th round, and he's going to be a solid pickup there. It's just because
It's all based on ADP. That's all it really is.
we've had people draft him in the 1st round,
which was crazy.
but it's because of the name value. But you have to. He's always. It's obviously a very quarterback friendly system. Always has been. On my notes, I just have he's Patrick Mahomes. Like, he's got that devil magic. I don't know what it is. He has it. And adding on to that devil magic, he's always been very healthy. He had that lingering ankle injury this year, and it never really stopped him. Maybe he missed one game, if that. I don't even remember. But he's got 2 weapons now in Worthy, Rashi Rice. When I think he's going to miss a couple games, but by the time that fantasy playoffs comes, he's going to have Worthy, Rice, Pacheco if he's healthy. Hopefully Travis Kelce has a bounce back year. I like Travis Kelce. I'm hoping he does that. But by the time the fantasy playoffs comes around, I think Mahomes will be one of the best quarterbacks in fantasy. But one of the downsides is that
definitely see a case for that.
He relies on Travis Kelce too much, and I think that's a major downside for Patrick.
He also doesn't have really any rushing upside.
Not anymore. He used to, but now with that
ankle injury,
not with that ankle injury, I think he's done with that. And then obviously the Rashi Rice suspension is a whole other thing. You don't really know what's going to happen there.
Yeah. I have Justin Herbert at 7.
So I have Justin Herbert really low on my list. I have Justin Herbert. I do, but the players I ranked above him, I think, are going to be better than I have Justin Herbert at 13.
Wow.
So if we could, let's talk about him really quick. I'll have my.
All right. I think that Justin Herbert, if you look at his stats, he is extremely consistent with passing. His passer rating is pretty much consistent. His pass percentage, like completion percentage, is pretty much always consistent. The only thing that has really deterred him is not really having a true wide receiver 1.
Mm-hmm.
He's always had to rely on not, I wouldn't say random, but not
random secondary wide receivers.
Right. He's never had like a Jamar Chase.
Right.
And I think that what's his name?
Lad McConkey.
Yeah, thank you. I think Lad McConkey is going to form into that role. I think that, especially with the year that he had at the latter half of the season, Justin Herbert's stats went up.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. He had a great last few weeks, but towards in the beginning, he was very inconsistent. He was very streaky. I'm looking right now. He missed week 5, but weeks 1 through 6, he never had 1 through 7. I guess he never had more than 15 points, and then weeks 8 through 12, he never had less than 17. and then he dropped down again. Like, he was very back and forth.
Right.
And
But
I think that hurts him a lot.
So do I. But if you look at that latter half of the season, that's when Ladd McConkey really started heating up. And he's an amazing router. He's an amazing slot wide receiver. I genuinely, I would say draft Ladd McConkey. I think that both of them are going
Ladd
to be...
McConkey, yes, absolutely.
I think both of them are going to be a great wide receiver quarterback duo, and I think that's just going to put Justin Herbert... I think I have him a little bit too high now that I'm looking at my list, but I still do think that Justin Herbert is definitely one of those guys that people, especially in the later rounds, if you do what I'm going to do,
yeah,
in the fifth or sixth round, and if he's there because people overlook him, draft him.
I do have a couple upsides for Herbert. He only threw 3 interceptions last year. That's always a good upside in fantasy.
Wow.
Yeah, 3 interceptions, but he only had 21 touchdowns. But they also, and this could hurt Ladd McConkey, but once again, we'll get to that in the wide receiver video. They just re-signed Keenan Allen. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of familiarity for Justin Herbert. Mm-hmm. And now he has 2 solid wide receivers he can throw to. The downside to Justin Herbert, I think this is his major downside, and I think this is why I'm personally not looking to draft him this year. We saw last year with Jim Harbaugh's first season. They ran that 2 running back system, and Herbert had his second worst fantasy season of his career. His second worst season of his career. They're doing the same thing again this year. I don't think anything's going to change now with Omarion Hampton and Najee Harris in that backfield. Mm-hmm. Najee Harris has never had a season under 1,000 yards in his career. Mm-hmm. And he's been a split running back for a couple of those seasons, and he still managed to get 1,000 yards. And I think Hampton is going to end up being the RB1. I think that just this Jim Harbaugh system doesn't work with Justin Herbert fantasy-wise. I think it works with him team-wise. Like, I think the Chargers will be a good team. Fantasy-wise, I don't think Justin Herbert is going to do that well in this Jim Harbaugh system.
I could totally see that happening. That's why I do have him low. And now that I am looking at it, I think I did put him a little bit too high. However, I still do think there's enough upside to draft him, especially if you waited a little bit too long to get a quarterback. But, yeah. The next two... Sorry, go ahead.
I was saying, who do you have? So 8 was Mahomes for you, correct?
Yep.
So who do you have after that? Because I haven't said my 8 yet.
Oh, what's your 8?
Mine is Kyler Murray. I don't know where you have him.
My 10 is Kyler Murray, 9 is Baker.
Okay. So let's talk about Kyler Murray real quick. I think Kyler Murray is going to have an amazing season. I think Kyler Murray is one of the most underrated quarterbacks right now. I think he's going to have a great season.
I also agree.
He has the 6th easiest quarterback schedule and second best in the first 4 weeks. He has the second best quarterback schedule. Trey McBride is one of, if not the best tight end in the league. Mm-hmm. Marvin Harrison Jr. Despite, like, everybody was like, oh, he had an awful year. He still had over 1,000 yards. I think he's going to have a better season this year. I think he's going to be one of those guys where he's going to excel in his sophomore season because he's not happy with where he was in his first year. And James Conner is James Conner. He's one of my favorite running backs in the NFL. He's a very good pass-catching running back. He gets a lot of touchdowns. And as we said earlier, dual-threat quarterbacks are the best in fantasy, and Kyler Murray is one of those.
Kyler Murray is one of the best dual-threat quarterbacks. I 100% agree. I 100% agree. The only reason why I put Baker above him is Kyler tends to throw really, really, really bad interceptions. Like, straight up just throwing to the other team.
And I have that in my downsides. In the last 7 games of this season, he had 9 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. And 4 of those touchdowns were in the last game of the season.
Yeah. So, he's a great dual-threat quarterback if he can get the interceptions down. He
was also very inconsistent this season.
Very inconsistent.
He had 5 top 5.
I know, because he was on my team.
Oh, yeah, he was. He had 5 top 5 finishes and 9 15 or lower finishes. Yeah. So he was very back and forth.
Yeah. Baker, I just think Baker's a dog. I love Baker.
I have Baker at 11. I have two more people that we haven't talked about yet above him. Okay. But with Baker, I do think that he is a great quarterback. I think there's a
I think
lot
he.
of
I think he's due. I think he's due for a regression.
well that he had the best season of his career by far last
By far. So he's not replicating that. He's not.
year. And they have yet another. This happens. I think this has happened like 3 years in a row or something. They yet again have another new offensive coordinator. Liam Cohen left. He went to the Jaguars to be their head coach, and Chris Godwin is most likely not going to play Week 1. They're optimistic, but he's not, which opens the door for Emeka Egbuka, who I'm going to talk about in the wide receiver video. But I think Baker's due for a regression. A lot of changes happening. He's already relatively old.
Yeah.
Um,
He's 28, 29?
29, 30 probably. He got drafted in 2017. So he's almost been in the league. This is his ninth season.
So,
Ninth season.
Yeah, 29, 30, I guess.
Yeah. But obviously
That's
this is the
not
biggest
old.
upside. Not for a quarterback, but it just he's been moving around so much it feels like he has been in the league so much longer. But I feel like this is the upside that everybody's going to talk about with Baker, and it's obvious. He's the easiest division in the NFL, and it's not even close.
Not even close.
It's like, especially defense wise. I think the Panthers are going to be good this year. I don't think their defense is that good. So.
Right. No, right.
And if you're able to get him on the waiver wire, which I don't think you'll be able to, but if you're able to get him,
if he's on the waiver wire, then your league is doing something wrong.
Or if you draft him as your backup,
yeah,
his fantasy schedule, his fantasy playoff schedule, is one of the easiest in the league. His fantasy playoffs is Atlanta, Carolina, Miami. Those are the three. And if he's in your championship game, that's against Miami. Miami does not have a good defense this year.
Absolutely not.
So if you're able to pick him and stash him, that's another good. He's a great backup. I think he's a solid starter, but not nearly what he was last year.
I agree.
So
my sorry.
My number.
What was the other?
I say my number 9. I don't know where you have this guy. I'm sure you have him around this area. My number 9 is Brock Purdy.
I have him at 13.
Okay. He's due for a bounce back this year. With a Ricky Pearsall is gonna. I think he's gonna have a breakout season. Juwan Jennings was very good last year when Ayuk and Debo were out. George Kittle is George Kittle, one of the best tight ends in the league. He'll have Brandon Ayuk when he comes back, and the X factor of this offense will hopefully stay healthy this year.
Hopefully,
Christian McCaffrey.
Yep.
He had like 67 receptions last season. He was healthy. He is, and everybody calls Brock Purdy a system quarterback. I do too. I think that
he's the system quarterback, but he's an amazing system quarterback. Like he's a good quarterback.
This proves that he's a system quarterback, but he has mastered the art of it.
Yeah.
Which is why I think he's going to be so good this year. And
my only reasoning that I have him low is because yes, he has other options, but now that Debo's gone, I feel like there's going to be an adjustment period. Because Debo, if you actually look at the film, Debo was his first read like 90% of the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with Debo not being there, he's going to have to look to Ayuk. He's going to have to look to Ricky Pearsall. He's going to look to Juwan Jennings, George Kittle. Those guys, I wouldn't say are as shifty as Debo, right?
Yeah.
So I think he's going to do good. I think he's another one of these guys that you can get for cheap in the draft.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I don't think he deserves to be higher than he is.
I also think that with Christian McCaffrey, the 49ers have a very run-heavy offense, which obviously is never a good thing for a quarterback.
Right.
Number 10?
Okay.
Who do you have? Did we say your number 10 yet?
Yeah, we said Kyler Murray was my number 10.
Okay. Where do you have Dak Prescott?
15.
Okay. I am so high on Dak Prescott this year.
Really?
As long as he stays healthy, he has one of the best wide receiving cores in the league. Jake Ferguson is a top 10 tight end. They have a new head coach that isn't Mike McCarthy. As long as he stays healthy, everything is going well for Dak Prescott. CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Jonathan Mingo. That's an amazing wide receiver.
That is an amazing wide receiver core.
And then Jake Ferguson on top of that. They have no running back, really. It's Javonte Williams, who I already said I don't like. It's just, there's a lot going right for Dak Prescott.
And Dak, weirdly, for such a big guy, has a weirdly
He
good
moves.
rushing upside.
Yep.
So I don't disagree with that. I definitely.
And his only
the reason
issue
why
is
I
that
put
he's
him so
injury
low.
prone. Mm-hmm.
That's why I put him so low.
Yeah,
because
I
injuries
completely
and
agree with that.
That's
He just throws a lot of
other
interceptions,
than that,
and I think a quarterback relies a lot on an offensive line, and the Cowboys do not have a very good offensive line. They have a very young offensive line. Zach Martin just retired. It's going to take some adjusting. But if they can make that adjustment, I think the Cowboys will be one of the best offenses in the league.
I agree. So he's this guy's number 12 on mine, but I would actually rank him as a sleeper. I don't know if he's a sleeper.
My
anymore,
number
but
12 is also a sleeper. Do we finally have the same person?
I don't know. I have Drake May.
I have Caleb Williams.
Oh,
Drake May
okay.
is my other sleeper, though. I'll tell you that Drake May is my other sleeper in this.
Okay, I have Drake May. I think
we'll talk about Drake May first. Drake May is 14 on my list.
Okay, that's respectable. I think that Drake May. Okay, the Patriots' offensive line isn't phenomenal, but I think
they just drafted Will Campbell. Just saying.
That was my point. They just drafted an amazing offensive lineman. I think it's going to get better.
Yep.
And I think that Drake May is just going to be more comfortable in the system, and I think that now that they have a better offensive line, they can design a lot more run plays for him. Because if you do look at his first season, he did have design runs, but it wasn't enough to get him like a lot of fantasy points. But now that he has a better offensive line, I think they're going to run him a lot, especially against on the touchdown line.
Yeah, and you can't forget about the biggest Patriots addition, Stephon Diggs. He has a solid wide receiver now. They have a new coaching staff, Mike Vrabel, who I love as a coach. I can't believe he went unsigned for this long.
Same.
And they brought back Josh McDaniels, who is obviously didn't do great as a head coach of the Raiders, but is one of the best offensive coordinators in the league. Mm-hmm. Now, my biggest downside to Drake May is his turnovers, and I don't know if you know these stats. Last season, in the games that he played, he had 10 interceptions. 10 interceptions, which, all right, rookie quarterback, fine. He had 9 fumbles last year.
Holy
that is a lot. And when you think about, this is why the Patriots are so bad. Drake May had 9 fumbles.
And Ramondre had like crazy. Ramondre had like 2 a game for like a 3-game stretch.
Which obviously Ramondre's not starting this year. It's Travion Henderson. Yeah. But Drake May needs to fix these turnovers. I think a better offensive line will help with the fumbles. The interceptions is something he has to fix himself.
Right. No, I agree.
And as a second-year quarterback, it takes a lot to fix something like that. I agree. And you also always have to worry about Stephon Diggs' health. He's never been a healthy player. And now he is what Drake May is going to have to rely on. He's always had one season,
though, where he goes healthy.
Yeah.
Like if you notice all the teams he's been on, he's had like 1 or 2 seasons where he's like he plays
it's
every
usually
game
his
and then
first season with a new team. The only time he didn't do that was with the Texans last year.
Yeah.
And he still didn't have a bad season.
No, he didn't.
Because he wasn't the wide receiver 1, so it was kind of...
Right, but now he is. At my number 11, I don't know why I jumped to 12, but number 11, I have Justin Fields.
He's my number 15.
Okay.
The last guy I have on this list. I think he's going to be a good quarterback this year. I think my number 12 is Caleb Williams. I think Caleb Williams is going to be a lot better than him. But I want to talk about Justin Fields because I think he's a big sleeper as well.
I also agree.
So I guess these last 3 guys that are on our list are also sleepers. Mm-hmm. Justin Fields, I have my last slot, 15. In his 6 starts last year, he finished top 10 3 times. And now he has Garrett Wilson. I think he's going to be a great quarterback this year. I don't think the Jets are going to be good, but I think Fields will be a serviceable quarterback.
But that sometimes benefits a quarterback when a team is bad. Well, like, you know what I mean? Like when a team is bad and they rely so heavily on their quarterback that there's just no way that he doesn't get it.
Yeah, because when a team is losing, they don't run the ball. They're going to have to throw the ball.
Yeah. And he's going to be forced to pass. And I don't think the Jets, Breece Hall and
Braylon Allen?
Yeah, they're both very good at catching the ball. Like they're both they're both very solid reception-based running backs. So I think that's also going to boost Justin Fields' stock a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
My only thing with Justin Fields is that his throws. Again, he's a dual threat quarterback. However, his throws aren't as strong as his runs.
Right.
I think that he's never really had like a quote unquote like wide receiver one like Garrett Wilson. I know when he was on the
That
Bears,
is
he
that's in
had
my thing. That's in my list here.
the
That's in
notes.
my
Yeah,
notes.
he never had like a one for one wide receiver.
No.
So I think that's going to open up some possibilities.
Yeah, I agree. I think that when he was in Pittsburgh, he had George Pickens as his number one. Obviously, Garrett Wilson's better. Chicago, he had DJ Moore, who Garrett Wilson's better than. The only issue that I have is that Garrett Wilson is all he has. A lot of double coverage on Garrett Wilson this year.
I do. I do agree. That's what I wrote for one of my downsides for him. He does have
they
a
have a
lot
new
of,
head coach, who
and we never know how the new head coach is going to be.
especially one that used to be a defensive coordinator, because you don't know how they're going to work with the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Justin Fields is a good pick. Caleb Williams is my favorite sleeper, I think, this year.
I also
First of all,
Williams is my sleeper. Yeah.
I think the Bears. I think one of the Bears or the Panthers are going to make the playoffs this year. I like both their quarterbacks. Bryce Young's not on here, obviously. Caleb Williams, though, new weapons. He has Luther Burden and Colson Loveland, as well as he still has DJ Moore, Romo Dunze, who I think Romo Dunze is going to have a breakout year this year. And my main thing, which I think we're going to talk about here, Ben Johnson as the new head coach unlocked something special in Jared Goff. I thought Jared Goff was going to be not
Awful,
for a
but
number
not as good.
for a number one overall pick,
Yes.
like a bust. The same way I think about Baker Mayfield. Number one overall pick, not the best quarterback, shouldn't have been number one, but still a serviceable quarterback. And Ben Johnson unlocked something in Jared Goff that made him obviously
Worthy
the players
of
that he
that.
had around him, but he was a borderline top 10 quarterback in the NFL. And I think this year he was definitely a top 10 quarterback in the NFL.
100%.
And I think Ben Johnson can do the same with Caleb Williams. And now he can do the same thing he did with Jared Goff. And it's someone that can run the ball as well. And I think that's going to be, yes. And I think Ben Johnson's going to like that a lot. We've seen how he's used Jahmyr Gibbs in his running. He likes his run plays, but he likes his passing plays. And I think this is going to be a great fit for Caleb Williams.
I agree.
And if you're looking to do like the strategy that you're doing, where you want to wait for a quarterback, he is probably your best guy.
No, 100%. Yeah. The only quarterback that I have left to talk about is C.J. Stroud.
C.J. Stroud's not on my list. I think we've talked about all 15 of mine.
Yeah. C.J. Stroud is the only one that I have not spoken about.
C.J. Stroud
14.
would be the next person on the list for me. He would be number 16.
He's number 14 for me, and I just think he's due for a bounce back year.
I completely agree.
I don't think he had that good of a year this year. He put
but
he said that
they
he
had
put
a lot
of
of injuries in the wide receiver.
Right, and I think Tank Dell is going to be like, if Tank Dell can stay healthy, dude, I genuinely that guy is dropping
and
20 points a game. Like,
I'm
not even joking.
I don't know if you know this. I didn't know this until last week when my brother told me. Did you know the Texans signed Christian Kirk?
Yeah, I did.
I had no idea. That's another wide receiver to add there.
Yeah, and a very good wide receiver.
Very good wide receiver.
I do think that Tank Dell, and I do think that Christian. I was literally just about to say Christian Kirk.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Right after
Colin told me.
I think now you have two wide receiver ones,
yep.
Right? So I think he's also due for
absolutely
big improvement.
So I think that's it for our quarterbacks. We talked about 16 quarterbacks here because we had one extra that wasn't on my list. So
we talked a lot.
Yeah,
that was good.
We did. That was good. We had a lot of information for you guys.
Yes.
Use this for your drafts. I think we're going to have our draft next week. We haven't really seen what everybody said.
Wednesday, we're
next Wednesday, we're working on that.
If there is one tip that I can give everybody, with drafting quarterbacks. It's always look at the defenses that they are playing against. 100%.
Look at their strength of schedule.
People will draft a quarterback without looking at strength of schedule. Obviously, for people like Josh Allen, everybody at the top of this list, not going to affect them as much. But people, like Kyler Murray or Drake May or
right,
or Bo Nix, maybe even Bo Nix, Justin Herbert. Strength of schedule matters, and it's very important to look at that when drafting quarterbacks.
right, yeah, absolutely.
That's what I'll leave off on.
And I think if you can't, this is my biggest thing that I've noticed in mock drafts. If you can't get Lamar Jackson, basically, like if you're not in that range, you don't have the right players, just wait. Caleb Williams is a great option this year. All of these players are good options, especially at the bottom of the list.
I think that if you're not getting anybody in the top, anybody in the middle is basically going to really get the same numbers.
Yeah. And I just want to say one more thing. I don't think I told Nick about this yet. I have my notes here. I'm going to put a link to my Substack in the description. I will link these notes so that if you don't have time to listen to the podcast or anything, you could just read it there. Just click on the link in the description.
Good man. See what a good host he is.
Yeah, I got to help my fans. The notes will be there at the same time when this posts.
I will probably be using your notes now, like you told me.
Yeah, go ahead. And then there will also obviously in the notes be a link if you want to come back to the podcast and listen to it. But for now, that's it for the quarterbacks. We'll be back next week with our running back rankings, and we're happy to be back. It's almost football season.
Very happy. I'm itching.
We'll see you in the next one.
Bye, guys.